freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 466 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, by azfirearmsauction.com, where you set the price on guns, ammo, and accessories. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is trumpeting the Second Amendment, and our guest today is Charlie Cook. Charlie is an award-winning writer, speaker, and the host of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. He is a firearms instructor and a musician and combines those worlds as the creator of the viral Gungram video series. Charlie is also one of the organizers for the annual Amm-Con workshop event for the 2A Media.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the show, Charlie.
Thank you so much. I'm going to have to give that intro to my parole officer, I'll tell you.
Help me understand. Why is that?
It makes me sound better than I think I am.
And there you go. I love it. Your parole officer. Knock it off. All right. Welcome back to the show. We don't get to do this often enough. We get to hang out every once in a while at different events where we, happen to be in the same place at the same time.
Yes,
we were just in Tennessee.
Sometimes we run into Danny.
And every once in a while, Danny gets done putting my luggage away, and then he gets to come, to the actual event because he says that I only bring him to carry my luggage. That's not true.
It's the only time I get to talk because she doesn't have a microphone in her hand. Because if she has a microphone,
that's maybe not untrue.
That's it, right? There's a microphone. Cheryl's on her way.
Yeah, I'm there. Give me the spotlight, the microphone. It's all I need. It's all a girl needs.
But that was a great place in Tennessee, wasn't it? Wasn't that fun?
That was a lot. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that going down to the GOA's goals event. It was great. It really is a quick fix from between SHOT and NRA, and it's a quick fix before we go to GRPC in the next month. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's great to see everybody. It's the whole it's a family reunion, and you don't realize it's a family reunion until you go back the second time.
Right.
It's so true. So before we dive into some of that with the Amm-Con that we want to talk about and the GRPC that we want to talk about, you live in the state of Massachusetts, and I'm saying it that way for a reason, because they just did something horrible to the gun rights of the people that live there. And when you kind of look at the history of Massachusetts, like that, how did you go from being, the birthplace of this nation, right?
Yeah.
To people seeking freedom from tyranny, to now living on the same soil and having so many freedoms ripped away from you with this ridiculous law. Talk to us about what's going on there.
It's completely nuts that there was 250 years ago, there were people on the Lexington Green that were having their powder taken away, and they put their foot down and said, "You are not going to do this to us." And of course, we can't own cannons, unfortunately. Unlike what Joe Biden says, that we can't own cannons, and this is why
totally fine.
Revolutionary War was started. So here we're living in a state now where we had this bill that this bill started a year and a half ago. There was a state representative. His name was Michael Day. He was doing this thing called the Gun Law Listening Tour. These are air quotes, and I call it the Gun Law Listening Tour. And what they did is they had a guns and panel, guns and mental health, guns and schools, guns and whatever. They had 11 of these. I went to 8 of them. I wrote about them all in News 2A, and they tried to match guns up with anything. and just to get some feedback on it. There were only 3 times when I didn't feel horrible walking away. There was somebody from the Gun Owners Action League at one of these, and he was really good about fighting everything back. There was a gentleman that was a former, I think he was in the military, I think it was in the Army, and he was also I think an environmental police. And then there was another gentleman that owns a gun store. He's a firearm instructor, and he actually started to make some of the fixed magazine AR lowers that we stopped being able to own. Sorry, that we could only own after 2016. So the rest of them were bad. There was a woman that got up and spoke at one of these, and it was in a crappy town. And they were talking about how she's like, I didn't know until today that a 15-year-old could get a shotgun license and carry a shotgun around. And we're like, well, they have to have their parents' permission. They can only carry it around when they're hunting. And I don't think that the people she's talking about in her community were actually the ones that were doing any hunting and getting hunting licenses and doing all this. So these people had no clue about the gun laws. This went on for about 6 months, working its way out of that. It parlayed into the representative days, not knowing what it was going to look like, not knowing what the bill was going to look like, the information that they were getting. In the middle of all this, one Gabby Giffords did come visit him in Boston, and he had a photo opportunity with her. I'm assuming she gave him some laws and regulations that she was looking for, and probably a big fat check,
Yeah,
and said,
that's
"This
how
is
that
what the
works.
bill's going to be." Um, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after the gun law listening tour was over, and of him saying, "We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what it's going to look like." Then came out this 141-page bill that was all of the anti-gun stuff thrown in there, from magazine restrictions to every place being a gun-free zone to upping the training requirements. It was bad. The gun owners in Massachusetts fought back. They argued, they called their politicians, they did everything that they're supposed to do, which is great.
Mhm.
They put the bill on hold. They wanted to get it passed. It dropped like on the second anniversary of Bruin. Or no, the first anniversary of Bruin, excuse me. It dropped in the summer of 23. They wanted to
Mm.
get it passed by the end of July. Thank God people argued and complained about it.
Mhm.
They waited until after, like on the Thursday going into Columbus weekend last year. They dropped a thing and said, "Hey, we're going to vote on this on Tuesday." But by the time they voted on it on Wednesday, they changed the bill number 3 times, so you couldn't keep track of it, and ended up getting it passed. The
Oh,
Senate ended up
wow.
getting the Senate ended up getting a version of the bill. They didn't like the House's version, and they ended up coming up with a 60, 62, 63 page bill that was still a bunch of crap. And then they had and that passed the Senate. Then they had a special committee get together, and they came up with a 116-page bill that is now going to go into effect into Massachusetts on October 23rd. And it's ridiculous.
I am so sorry that that has happened. What's the recourse? Like, what do you see coming out of this? What in the
So
short run and the long run?
so here's honestly, I hate saying this. I said this in the summer of 2020 when we had the mostly peaceful, only a little fiery riots.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
the the good news as an instructor is I have a ton of people that want to take classes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I've had classes that have been filling up like you wouldn't believe over the last month, and I've got the same thing here in the month of September. Um, some of the laws that changed is in Massachusetts, the definition of a firearm, and I'm using air quotes when I say firearm, is it's a handgun. They don't have handguns, they have firearms, which are handguns. And then we have rifles and shotguns. This bill, which is now the law, changed the definition for firearm to include rifles or shotguns, which sounds great and it sounds like it makes more sense. However, we have an approved firearm roster. And what's on the approved firearm roster are guns that the state of Massachusetts or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has determined are safe guns for people to own. Now, we can have those guns that have guns that are not on the approved firearms roster, but we can't get them from dealers. So the
What?
approved firearms roster doesn't have
So
any rifles or shotguns
complicated.
on it. It's only handguns. I know. I always tell folks, if you're confused when I'm explaining it, then I'm explaining it correctly,
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
right?
And
So
they
it's
do
not.
it just like changing the bill number multiple times. I think
Yeah.
so much of this is done purposely to confuse and confound and cause people to be like, you know what? I don't know. I'm gonna get a different hobby. Like, or I'm
Oh, yeah.
gonna figure some other way to protect my life or something.
Charlie, you know what's not confusing?
Let's hear it.
The Constitution.
Yeah.
Little pocket Constitution. If every one of the people that are elected in your state would go back and remember all the things in this, few pages?
Right. And those are the ones that cost like $1. Like
Yeah.
everybody ought to have one. I think I have like 4 copies, and 2 of them have AZ firearm stickers on them.
If
You're
they
welcome.
would read it, I would send every one of them one.
It's
Oh,
so
absolutely.
true.
But I just don't understand that. They make these confusing laws that don't make sense. And I think they do it so they can cover their butts on everything. Well, we can say it's this or this and that. Nothing's clear cut, but it's
So you're filling up with students, right?
Yes,
Because
filling up with classes because the training requirements are changing. So currently we have about, I think there's like somewhere between 26 to 29 approved classes. And again, I'm using air quotes, that the state says, if you take this class, you're good to go and you can apply for your license to carry. You have to take the class from someone that's a certified instructor. So, one of the big class for me is the NRA's home firearm safety class, which I tell everyone it's rifles, shotguns, and handguns. Oh my. We talk about firearm safety. We talk about loading and unloading. We talk about ammo. We talk about storage. And then we spend 45 minutes or an hour talking about the Massachusetts gun laws and what you can have and can't have, and how do you buy a gun and where do you buy a gun and how do you apply for the license, how much does it cost, all that kind of stuff. They're going to change this, so it's going to have injury prevention, suicide prevention, and disengagement. Now, disengagement, I assume, is a little different than de-escalation, but I assume they thought it was the same, but they said disengagement. And I've done a quick Google search. Disengagement, the first thing that comes up for disengagement training is pathological worry disengagement. Yeah. The second thing that comes up is engaging and disengaging while training your dog. So,
okay,
right. So
how does this
You're
attach
confusing me,
to
Charlie.
yeah,
gun
well,
laws?
I'm explaining it clearly then, Dan.
Very, very clearly, yes.
So, so we have that. We also, they're going to require a live fire component, and you have to do a written exam. So maybe people could do the NRA basic pistol, which is an 8-hour class that has live fire as part of the curriculum and a written exam to it. So who knows? Nobody knows what's going on. The state doesn't know. When the law was, the bill came out on July 17th, the AGG, the anti-gun governor, Maura Healey, signed it on July 25th, and it was supposed to go into effect August 1st. And then people are like, no, it's at the end of August 1st. So now it's August 2nd. And they're like, no, it's supposed to be 90 days after she signs it. So now it's October 23rd. So there's been a run on people buying guns and parts and ammo. And there's a whole, evil black rifle so-called assault weapon nonsense where we can have the ones that were, but we have 3 assault weapon bans in Massachusetts. We have the 94 one. We had one in 98 where Mitt Romney permanently adopted the national assault weapon ban. We had one in 2016 when the then AG, the anti-gun attorney general, Maura Healey, came up with some copycat and reinterpreted the laws. And then we have the one from 2020, which is the new one, which I read through it and I get frustrated and aggravated and I stop reading it. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm not telling them anything that I have. They already have a record of it. So nana boo boo, right? Yeah.
No,
So the
for
great thing about Massachusetts now is that there cannot be any crime because they've
Sure.
eliminated the guns, right?
They fixed
Right.
it.
Yeah, they fixed it all right. It'll be so much easier. It's wild that the anti-gun folks will come out, or the politicians will come out and say, "Oh, we've got the best gun laws in New England, and out of the 6 New England states, we also have the highest crime rate." So it doesn't make any sense.
That is so wild. And
Yeah.
this whole disengagement thing. I mean, it just kind of sounds like, if a bad guy approaches you, you just run away. Just run away. Hope you have a place to run away. Hope that you're physically able
Hope
to
you
run
can run.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and one of our friends likes to say, "Well, just shoot him in the face." And I'm like, that would disengage somebody for sure, right? It'd be so much easier.
It's
But
time
that's
to
probably not what they're looking for.
it's time to throw some tea off the boat.
It
Oh
does
my God,
feel that
absolutely.
way. It
Absolutely.
does definitely feel that way.
Not that I'm saying go out and do something, people.
No,
No, I'm
no,
just saying it's time.
we're not
They
inciting
chip them away a
anything.
little bit at a time, just
We're
a
just
little bit, a little
looking
more.
at what had been done in history
Yeah,
long
it's
before now.
it's the salami method where they just take a little bit at a time,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Gosh, it's
for
so
sure.
true.
But you are out there on your horse, trumpeting away, letting
Mm.
people know that
Yes,
the British are coming,
the
or
British,
the anti-guns are coming.
right?
Yeah.
The redcoats are coming, literally.
It's so
Yeah.
crazy.
So some of the stuff that's being done really quick, some of the stuff that's being done is there is a referendum and we're trying to get 50,000 people. We're trying to get 75,000 people because the state finds it very easy to discredit signatures. So
Mhm.
if they get 50,000 signatures, then this, I think the law gets on, somehow it goes on hold, and then the law will be put up on a bill in the election of 2016, which might be a better year for something like this to happen because it's not a presidential election and hopefully less
Mhm.
people will come out.
Mhm.
But it's yeah, there are a lot of gun stores that are doing things this week where they say, hey, listen, you know what? We got the paperwork last week. We're going to have a signing. You know, if you come into the gun store, buy some guns, buy some ammo, and make sure you sign this. And of course, you have to be registered voters and
Mhm.
all sorts of
Mhm.
stuff. So
Mhm. Well, and I think there are some of our gun rights organizations that are diving in to try to help with this. You mentioned Gun Owners Action League right there in Massachusetts. I think they are kind of spearheading
Um,
some of
they did.
this.
They got the referendum going. I
Mhm.
actually I got a call from Mike Harris, who's the director of public policy at the Gun Owners Action League, and he called me up. He's like, "Hey man, I got a dumb question for you. Like we're taking this referendum down to Boston, and would you drive me down and like we film a show and talk about it?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. When do you want to do this?
I
Tomorrow?
know,
Okay."
like, duh,
Yeah.
of
Right?
course I'm going to say yes to that. Yeah, I
Right.
want to watch
So
that one.
exactly. So we drove to Boston. We met this gentleman. His name is Toby Leary. He's from Cape Gun Works. He's been kind of getting things going too, getting people riled up. He's been doing shows every day on their YouTube channel. Um, and it was really cool. I got to be one of the 10 people whose names are going to be on this referendum, and we need to get 50,000 people to 75,000 people with good signatures to sign it to hopefully put it on pause. And it might just be the inevitable, and in 2 years it goes into effect. But until then, people can still purchase rifles and shotguns and ammo without having to go through. I think you have one of the things is you have to sign some paperwork to say that you're buying ammunition. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
So when you go
Knock it off.
if Charlie, if you wanted to go buy a gun tomorrow, what would you have to do?
So I'm gonna go buy a gun today, actually, after we're done here. um,
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to go to a local gun store, and it's going to be the same process. They're going to have to check my ID, right? Check my gun license to make sure I have a gun license. After they do everything, we're going to fill out the 4473. They're going to call into the NICS system. They're told one of the three things: I'm approved, delayed, or denied. After I've been approved, then what they do is they have another form in mass. This is Jedi mind trick, right? This is not the gun registration you're looking for. We have a transfer registration. So for transfer firearms from one person to another person, or from a gun store to a person, it has to go. We have to let the state know we're transferring the firearms. So after I pass the background check in the NICS, and do the 4473 in the next. Then we fill out this form called the FA10 form, and the FA10 form has my information on it. It has the information about the seller. It has the information about the gun, so the make, model, barrel length, caliber, and color. And then I sign two of those. I get a hard copy. The store keeps a hard copy, and then they send one electronically to the state.
Mm.
So you have to
So,
have a gun license to buy a
You have
gun?
yes, you have to have a gun license. So I was talking with someone recently that has a gun, or she said she had a gun and her license expired. And I'm like, well, you need to get on this, girl. And she's like, well, no, it's a license to carry. I'm like, even though it says a license to carry, it's really a license to possess.
mm,
Because if for some reason you end up having an interaction with the police and they find out you have a gun and you don't have a valid license, that's going to be a problem.
So does each
mm,
gun have its own license, or is you just have a license and then that's
So
it?
people have everyone has a license, and we have two types of licenses. We have the firearm identification card, which is good for non-large capacity rifles and shotguns, and we have the license to carry, which is good for large capacity and non-large capacity rifles, shotguns, and handguns. So depending on the kind of license you have, depends on what kind of firearm you can purchase. And then yeah, after you have a license to carry, you're good to go. You like, even if you guys came out here, let's say you broke a mirror and you you decided to come out and visit me, I couldn't say, hey, listen, stop at the store and buy some ammo, because you guys can't buy ammunition without a permit. I can take you shooting, which is fine, but you can't buy ammo without a permit. So
So, and what country do you live in?
I know.
occupied
know.
territory.
It's
You're
amazing
hurting
to
my
me.
brain.
You know, like in Arizona, you know, I can buy a gun and have it today.
Yeah,
You know,
And
it's
ammo.
and ammo,
yeah,
and
with ammo,
ammo's,
exactly.
yeah.
It's
So-
Otherwise,
nuts.
it's just a club.
And yet our crime rate on firearms is really low. The
How does
people
that
that are
work out?
committing crimes with firearms already have a criminal record.
Right.
It's not the people that are law-abiding citizens that have firearms that are creating these crimes,
Yeah.
but yet we're being penalized just like you are, and
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's just, that's a different country.
it is. It is.
Did you hear how hard I rolled my eyes at what you were saying? I mean, like it's audible, my eye rolling at this,
Totally.
and the whole wink, wink. It's not a registration. We just need to know when you pass a gun from this person. But no, we're not even
Not a
probably keeping
registration,
that
right?
record.
This is not the registration you're looking for. Okay.
Well,
okay.
I'm glad you live in Massachusetts, Charlie, and I'm glad that you're fighting the fight
Mhm.
instead of moving
It's
out of there.
it's that sounds appealing too.
I know it does,
Mhm.
but stay in the
But
fight,
yeah,
because
yeah,
you're
it's
I think
Go
that the firearms owner, even in Massachusetts, are a majority. They're just not voting. They're just not doing anything. And that's
well,
the
what we
sad
have
thing.
is we have a lot of closet gun owners here who don't
Yeah.
want to come out because there's, anti-gun people, and people are much more openly about being anti-gun than they are pro-gun.
Mhm.
So a lot of people, the lady I was talking to is someone I've been friends with for a few years, and like gun stuff has never come up before. And then I don't know, something happened, and she's like, "Hey, I heard you were a gun guy." I'm like, "Well, yeah, a little bit. I'm kind of into it."
Little.
And yeah, and
Same.
she's like, I've got a gun." I'm like, "Oh, that's a good start. We should go shoot sometime." She's like, "Oh, I can't take it anywhere. My license expired." You need to get that. And she's like, I don't think so." I'm like, "I've had thousands of students. I'm pretty sure you should."
Yeah, that's part of being a responsible young citizen is following the laws, even when they're
Well,
draconian.
but
It's just
that's the magic of them making all these
know,
laws,
I
is that they can make you become a criminal,
Oh,
Yeah.
totally,
right?
totally. They
Because
want-
really,
yeah,
should you have to go get a license to buy a gun? No, you shouldn't. But since you do, now you're
How
a criminal.
does- maybe you don't know this, but how does the whole Bruin case that truly should wipe all of this off the map, how does it come into play with
So
this kind of thing?
this is so right after the Bruin passed in June of 22, New York came out with their anti-Bruin stuff. New Jersey came out with their anti-Bruin stuff. Massachusetts just sat on the sidelines taking notes. And they're like, "Hey, all the stuff that they're doing in New York and in New Jersey and in California and in Hawaii, we're going to put all of that together in one big cauldron, and we're going to stir it up, and we're going to turn it into an anti-gun bill." And they put like legit all of this stuff, all of it. And it's a Bruin response, hissy fit is really what it is.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
recently, about a week and a half ago, there was I think it was the Supreme Court in Massachusetts determined, are you ready for this? That a switchblade is there is a ban on switchblades, and you can lawfully have switchblades in Massachusetts now. So I've got to go find some place where I can buy a switchblade just so I can have one.
We've got some in our auction at Pot of Gold Auctions. We've got stilettos. We
That-
do.
I love how
Seriously.
you
I just-
seamlessly work that right in there,
I
Danny.
just listed them. They're stilettos.
Commercial
You
just
push a
popped
button,
in there.
you push a button and a 6-inch blade comes out.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, I'm gonna have to
Because
go
in
check this
Arizona,
out.
they're free. Free state,
That's
Free
right.
America.
Okay. So all this that we're talking about, Charlie, I mean, you're a musician, you're a teacher. How do you become not only blogger of the year? Congratulations. That was a
Thank you,
really
thank you.
awesome thing. But also a writer for major Second Amendment media outlets like Ammoland, Arm Lifestyle Magazine, and News 2A. How does this happen to your life?
Kind of by accident is really how it happened.
Us too. Us too.
So in 2019, I was awarded the Blogger of the Year at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and when Alan Gottlieb was reading the names, I wasn't even paying attention, right? Because it's the lunchtime awards, and I'm not going to get an award for anything. And I'm sitting next to somebody, and he elbowed me. He's like, "Dude, they just called your name." I'm like, "For what?" Like, I don't have a car. I didn't leave my lights on. I have, So
Right?
he's like, "No, you won an award." So I went up and I got this. I ran around for 2 days, and I'm like, Blogger of the Year, didn't write a word because that's how I roll, right? That was great. I'm like, I don't know how I got on the Blogger of the Year, but cool. I ended up reaching out to Freddie Real at Ammoland, and I said, "Hey, I'm the Blogger of the Year. Would you like to put my award-winning show on your website?" And he said, "Sure. I need 600 words for SEO." I'm like, "Oh,
You got to do something, huh?
now
Oh,
I have to
that.
start
Now I
writing."
do have to write.
Yes. So I started doing show descriptions that were at least 600 words. Then someone approached me and said, Trampus Swanson is going to start this thing called Arm Lifestyle Magazine. And he's like, "What do you do with the shows after you put them out?" And I'm like, I keep going and do the next show and do the next one, do the next one, right? Set them up and knock them down. And he said, "Well, we want to have you write a column about your adventures and the people you interview, and we're going to call it Writing Shotgun with Charlie." And I'm like, "Oh, I dig that."
Clever.
So I took my logo's a truck window with a shotgun in it, and we took the truck window and we put a quill instead of a shotgun, and we called it Writing Shotgun with Charlie. So we did that. And that's been really good. I get to go back and revisit old interviews and then re-interview people, very much like I had you guys on very early on for that. And then about right when the gun law listening tour was starting, my good friend John Petrolino, our good friend John Petrolino, said to
Mhm.
me, he's like, "Hey, I think I can get you. Would you be interested in writing for news2a.com?" And I'm like, "What am I going to write about?" He's like, "Yeah, you can write about the stuff that's going on in Massachusetts." I'm like, let me think about this. In the meantime, he went to the guys at News 2A and he's like, "Hey, I think I can get Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun to write some articles for you guys." And it's very much like a high school dance where
I
he's
love it.
like, "Hey, listen, these guys like you. They'd like you to write for them." And then he goes over to me and he's like, "Hey, would you like to write for them?" And then so it was that kind of a thing.
I
So
love it. A
yeah,
matchmaker.
I know it's ridiculous, isn't it?
So cute. I mean, that's a great story. And John is such a great friend. I just absolutely love him. I love you, and I love that you guys are besties. It
It's
just
it's
makes it sweeter
right.
somehow.
It's a lot of fun, man. Our friendship is mutually beneficial, which is good. It's not obviously it's not what it's about because we still get together and go out and do some sporting clays once in a while. So yeah, we hang out
Fantastic.
socially. On my way back from Knoxville, I stopped in Jersey and I spent the night at John's place. We went out and had a bite to eat and went out and hung out with one of his buddies and smoked a cigar. And then I got up the next day and came home.
Life looks
Is he
good.
gonna come to Amm-Con with you?
Yes. So John is coming to ANCOM. John, parlaying this right into the next topic. John Petrolino is going to be one of the presenters at AMMcon this year. So
Awesome.
this year is going to be really, I hate saying this, Cheryl. It's going to be a change because like the people that we've had speaking at it before, we're not having a lot of them speak, right?
Hmm.
Like you and me and Amanda and Dan Wass, we're taking back seats
Hmm.
and we're letting Gabe El Talib, right?
El Taib.
Yep.
El
Big
Taib.
Man
I listened to the
Comics.
show with him and you guys recently. He sounds like a great guy. I can't wait for that. Dakota Adelphia is going to be there. Jason Jamerson's going to talk about AI. Lee Williams from the Gunwriter. He's taken on a big role and he's going to do a presentation and then he's going to do like an interactive thing where we have to have some people interview him and then we have to do a homework assignment, like an in-class homework assignment, and write a story about it. And then we're going to read the stories and he's going to give us some pointers on those, which is going to be really, really cool.
What an amazing
Petrolino's doing
opportunity.
it totally is, totally. Petrolino's going to be doing a presentation he did a big 5-part story on Ammoland about
Yes.
the history of SAF and where SAF is going to be going. So he interviewed Ellen, Adam, Lauren Hill. Oh my gosh, and the other gentleman, I can't remember his name. But he interviewed a bunch of people out on the set, Dave Workman and Julianne as well. Um, the last guy, I can't come up with his name.
Bill
I know
Sack.
I've met
Was
him.
Bill Sack on there?
Bill Sack, that's it. That is it. He
Okay.
had Bill Sack on there. So he did this 5-part documentary with or maybe it's a 3-part video documentary, but 5 articles on bearing arms about the history and the future of SAF. So that's going to be really cool. We have 2 new people that we just found out we're going to be doing presentations. We're going to have Mark Smith from 4 Boxes Diner. He's going to do a presentation, and our keynote is going to be Jared Yanis from Guns and Gadgets. So it's going to be great to hang out with those guys. And there's no such thing as a shameless plug. Putting the plug in there is Amm-Con is the day before GRPC. So if anyone is going to the Gun Rights Policy Conference in San Diego, they need to sign up ahead of time to come to Amm-Con so they can get all this great content. And if you're in Second Amendment media, or you want to get in Second Amendment media, or if you're with a group and need some help with Second Amendment media, you need to come to this.
Absolutely.
And it's all free, right?
Yes.
Not only is it free, you get a lunch.
They feed us.
They
This is
feed
the
us.
most amazing thing. So it's
Yeah.
ammcon.org, I believe is the website, ammcon.org to sign up. You gave me a look when I said that. Did I say it wrong?
Me? No, I think that's right. I was like, do I have this up on my computer? Can I pull it up real quick?
Let's make sure that we're not sending people to the wrong
No,
place.
right.
But we're both on the
Someplace
planning
else.
committee, and yet we're both like, wait, what's our website? Yes, it is
Right.
ammcon.org. The itinerary's on there, the speaker list is on there, the bios. This is a do not miss, because really everybody is a citizen journalist nowadays, right? Or at
Yeah,
least has the
totally.
potential, because we walk around with these things in our hands, and they have cameras and microphones, and you do it in your vehicle. Like, you started, your studio is a vehicle. How
Right, Mike.
clever is that?
I know, totally stealing the carpool karaoke thing, but it works, and I drive a lot, so
Drive a lot.
it's good.
And then GRPC, which is the Saturday, Sunday of that weekend. And this is the year 2024, when people are listening to this off into the future, so we don't confuse you. Their website is SAF, for Second Amendment Foundation.org, and the GRPC link is on there to sign up. And that's a Saturday and a Sunday, and they feed us at that too, and it's free also, and it's just amazing.
So Charlie, next time you come to Phoenix and we do another interview in your car, I'm going to get one of my police friends to pull us over, and we're getting pulled over with riding with Charlie.
Well, now that you've told me, you kind of ruined it, Danny.
Oh, that's
It's true.
oh,
It's true.
did I say that?
So
I'm
right,
talking about
so we're
stuff in
gonna
my
get pulled
head.
over. I'm gonna be like, this is a bunch of fake baloney. I'm just gonna keep on driving.
Yeah, it's going to be fake, right? Yeah.
And then find out it's real.
So Charlie, I have
Oh.
to ask, because I don't think I've ever really asked you this. You've been doing this for quite a while, but what got you started in the 2A stuff?
Oh my gosh! So I was a teacher, and on September 11th, and what happened is I ended up having to watch everything unfold because it was picture day at school that day, and I realized we live in a dangerous world. The teacher, we had a meeting with the principal, and he told the teachers, he said, listen, if something happens in the school that's, somebody's here that's not supposed to be here, he's going to get on the intercom and say the eagle has landed. And he said that means that everybody should lock the door and hide under their desks. And I'm like, I'm in a different building and I don't have any desks, so this is going to be a problem. So I sat in the teacher's room. I said, if the teachers on the first floor all had guns, they could shoot the bad guy, and then the teachers on the second floor can keep on teaching, right? Right. We need half the grief counseling, and I know
You're
they
very
thought I was a
practical.
joke, but right. I'm making light of the whole thing, but February vacation came, and I'm like, I'm going to show these guys what I'm talking about. I'm going to go get a gun license. I'm going to get a gun, right? And I went down to the police station to find out what the process was, and I started it in February. I had a gun license in June. The first time I shot a gun was in August of 22, and I remember thinking, this is really cool. Like, I could give up drinking to go shooting. I mean, not for forever, but I could do it, give it up for a while. And that was it. I was hooked. I remember shooting a Smith & Wesson model 617 22 10-shot revolver, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. And that started me on the path, and I started getting the I was a card carrying NRA member, and I inherited a couple guns from my father. And I drove out to the Midwest, and I hope the statute of limitations is passed, but I drove out to the Midwest and I brought these guns back. And that was it. I joined a gun range and taking classes and getting more education and more training and keeping on going.
That's an amazing story, but the sad story, the sad part about it is that it took you 4 months to get your license approved.
Oh, totally.
I mean, there are people that need firearms to protect themselves right now. and they got to wait 4 months to get a license.
Yeah, if you're lucky. I mean, some towns, I've seen some things on social media where people are like, dude, it's been 6 years. 6 years. It's been 6 months. Like, what's going on? And I've seen other people say they got their permit in 3 weeks. So I have no
You
idea
know,
who's, you know.
That's one of
and
the
we're
other
not,
problems with the licensing
yeah,
is they can be selective. Oh, this guy, he can have it, but you can't because you live in a bad area of town, even though you need it more than the other guy. And they can be selective
Exactly.
with it. And that's a terrible thing with our laws.
no, and this is
Yeah.
not a slam on law enforcement by any measure, but the truth is they are not omniscient. They can't be there magically the minute you need them, the second that you need them. And so there's that saying out there when seconds count, help law enforcement are minutes away.
Yeah.
Well, when seconds count, your ability to protect yourself is like 4 to 6 months away. How
Mm-hmm.
crazy is
It's,
that?
I remember sitting with some friends and they're like, you know what? If we were up in Maine and a bear came to attack us, I wouldn't have a problem shooting the bear. And I'm like, really? Here's what you need to do. You need to sit through a 4-hour class. You need to wait a couple of months to get a gun license. You need to learn how to shoot. You got to buy a gun. You got to join a shooting club. Then you can shoot the bear. And I doubt the bear's going to hang out that long.
But Charlie, the
Probably
bad
not.
thing
By
is
then you're
the bear doesn't have to
Oh.
do that. The bear doesn't have to do that.
It's not. He's already bearing arms. Ho! Waka, waka, waka.
Bump. You here all week?
Don't forget to tip
But-
your
but-
bartenders and
but
waitresses.
really,
Exactly. Exactly.
Seriously though, I mean, that's the thing that the criminals aren't going to follow the laws. So,
Of
you know,
course not.
I'm
It's
sad.
I mean, honestly, completely aside from everything else, we're seeing this in Aurora, Colorado right now with the Venezuelan gangs that are taking over apartment complexes.
Yes.
Right.
Hello? Let's see. They come here from another country. They probably don't have any training. They probably didn't pass a background check and they have handguns and they have ARs.
Mhm.
Really? Where
Mm-hmm.
do they
Right.
get them? I don't know. Not legally.
Mm-hmm. Well, what you know for sure is that can't possibly happen in Massachusetts now because you have more laws.
You
And for
got it.
sure, these Venezuelan gangs are for
They're not coming to
sure.
Massachusetts. Not at
No
all.
way.
And
They're
wasn't
gonna
Aurora,
be afraid
Colorado?
of those laws.
Wasn't Aurora, Colorado one of the first places that they wanted the 10-round magazine and AR-15 ban because of what happened there?
Oh, yeah, because
You
of
know,
the movie theater shooting.
Yeah.
Mm,
So,
that's
And of
right.
course, that guy went to a movie theater where there was a no gun sign, and people, the law-abiding, responsible, background check passing citizens couldn't bring a gun into the movie theater with them.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The bad guys know that they're going to go to the area of least resistance. And these politicians, really, whether they know it, whether they intend to or not, they are empowering and enabling and helping the bad guys
Yeah.
and disenfranchising
So what are maybe
us with this disengagement.
maybe the politicians are thinking this way. I just thought of this. If we can take the guns from the responsibly armed citizens, after we take all their guns, then it'd be easier to take the ones from the criminals.
No.
Sure.
Maybe that's what they think,
Right.
because their goal is to take all the guns away. Period.
Right.
Right? It doesn't matter. They don't,
That's crazy.
S-
No,
a
don't talk
hard sell
nonsense.
is a hard sell is to tell somebody that's new to gun ownership and be like, listen, I know I sound like a lunatic, but they don't want anyone to own any guns. Right?
That's yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's slowly and surely coming true, but they don't want us to have anything.
They
Yeah.
don't. And, there are places where knives are illegal. And so now we have a group called Knife Rights that go out there and
Yeah.
fight for your ability to have knives. And then it'll be like, well, forks are kind of pointy. So maybe we need to get rid of forks. We can't even have sporks. We're just going to have.
Knock on your door. We come to inspect your knife cabinet.
Right. We need to we need to look
You have
in
a
your
permit for this 6-inch knife?
We need to what, Charlie?
we need to look in your cabinets to see what you have. And
Yeah.
if you have forks and knives, you're gonna have to start eating with your hands. We're like they're bringing us back to the caveman times. Like,
Yeah.
really.
They really are. Just
Yeah.
gnaw it off the bone. All
Right.
right. Well, we need to start wrapping up, but I want to thank you for all that you do and for spending this time with us. And this is the first show I've ever said the word bear poop. So, there's
I love that the lowest points are with me. I really do.
but they're memorable. They're the memorable.
I used to teach at a shooting school, and I would say I'm the least threatening, most offensive. That's what I'm working towards.
Fantastic.
Well, when you guys go to Amm-Con, after I get all the luggage situated, you and,
Right.
and John and you and I need to go have a cocktail.
Do you think there's going to be
Absolutely.
time after you carry all that luggage? I mean, you might be tired. You think
That's
there's
why
going
he
to be
needs a drink.
There'll be time.
the fact that he's been married to me almost 40 years is why he
Is
needs
why
a
he needs
drink.
a drink,
I
right? He
mean,
needs like
let's
an
be honest.
IV of whiskey. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you.
not untrue,
I'm
Chuck.
glad that some other people know what I go through.
Right. You
The
know,
struggle is real.
Dan looks great
No.
for a 27-year-old guy. He really does.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Tell folks how they can follow all the work that you do. And also, if they're in Massachusetts and they want to get a quality gun class before the law takes away all
Before
their
it takes
rights.
place, yeah. So all of my stuff is Riding Shotgun with Charlie. I've got a Facebook page. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a website. I'm on Instagram. I think it's under Riding Shotgun with Charlie. All the social media, all the stuff is Riding Shotgun with Charlie. There are articles on news2a.com. There are articles on armedlifestylemagazine.com under Writing, WRITING, Shotgun with Charlie. If you're not a YouTuber, you can listen to the shows in the podcast form at your favorite podcast outlet. And if you, the gun classes that I teach are on the Facebook page. It's just called Personal Shooting Instruction. And that's where I have classes in Massachusetts, and I teach the Utah class, and I'm a USCCA instructor. I do the Saber pepper spray class, so I teach a bunch of the NRA classes. So I'm just trying to keep up, man. That's all I'm doing.
Well, you're doing it brilliantly. Thank you so much for all that you do. And we will see you in September in San Diego at Amm-Con and GRPC. That's my goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Say goodbye,
I thought
Charlie.
you were I thought that was it. I thought you buttoned it up. Thank you guys very much. It's always a pleasure and honor to see you guys. I can't wait to see you guys in a few weeks.
Absolutely.
Listen,
Bye-bye, Charlie.
You make it sound like September's coming soon. It's here, Cheryl.
I did, right? It
September's
is
here.
September now. We're sitting in the studio on September
5th
4th,
or 6th or something like that. Yeah.
2024, and I'm feeling like it's still August. I don't know, but yes. So I'm sure that confused him when I said, I'll see you in September. And he's probably like, it's already September.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Bear poop. I'm just going to keep going back to that one.
Okay, you just do that.
All right. Well, thank you to Charlie. Thank you to all of our amazing listeners and viewers. Wherever there is internet, Dan, we have people hungry for this information, even when we get silly, right? And I think it's because there are so many places that are living without the freedoms that we have. And then we have a place like Massachusetts that had the freedom. This whole nation was constitutional carry from day one. And we started an entire revolutionary war to separate from the tyrannical powers that were over us when they came for our firearms.
So
It was at Lexington and Concord when they came for our guns and our powder, when we said that's the line. And now here in Massachusetts, it's like none of that even mattered.
do you think the British, back when we won and beat their butt, do you think maybe that they planted us with spies that changing our laws now?
That's a
joke.
long game,
That's a long game.
right?
150 years later.
Some people
We
play the
finally got
long game.
Massachusetts. We got Massachusetts. Now we got to go for California.
The royal family right now is like, finally. Finally. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. All right. You've made me lose my space, my
We're
place.
going to talk about a couple things.
Oh,
know-
well, wait. We were going to say, if you want to go back and watch this video or any of the others, please go to YouTube Gunstreamer or the Opsland smartphone app and share it, like it, click the subscription and the notification buttons, because that helps tell those platforms you don't want tyranny. You don't want cancel culture. You don't want us to be suppressed, because you're hungry for this information. So, and if you want to listen to the audio only version, like you're out on a long bike ride, in the yard or whatever, then go to our website, GunFreedomRadio.com, click the on demand tab, and
binge listen to your heart's content, darling.
darling. Speaking of John Petrolino, he is the reason that we now lean into that darling. That's the way that he would hear us. And so now every time we see each other, we have to call each other darling. And so if you want to click on the links and the for books and articles and bios and all of that, go to the guest tab on our website. We keep a growing record there of subject matter experts. And when you spend time there, we do not hate that. All right. Well, we have a couple of organizations that we like to help support because they support your rights and they also support us. One is Locked In Grip, right? This is a liquid shooting sports chalk. So when you are out on the range, you can maintain a better grip for safer, faster shooting. That is lockedingrip.com. That was created by our good friends Brian and Shelley Hill of The Complete Combatant. And we want to support this nation, even the places in this nation that have completely lost their way and forgotten about freedom, like Massachusetts. But we like to support American made products because they support American jobs on American soil. And you can do that by joining this invitation only exclusive shopping club, and Dan and I are inviting you. You go to patriothousehold.com/GFR for Gun Freedom Radio. It will help you and millions of other families cut the cord on those huge corporations that use all of your dollars to diminish your freedoms. And instead, at patriothousehold.com/GFR, all of those dollars support American jobs, and a small piece goes to the Second Amendment Foundation, which is the group that is putting on Amm-Con and GRPC that we talked about with Charlie for free and giving us lunch. And a very small portion also comes to support the work that Dan and I do on Gun Freedom Radio. So from your laundry soap to your skincare to your delicious snacks and even ground beef and steaks, they have a great line of beef products. Go to patriothousehold.com/GFR. You can set your order and forget it, or shop as you need it, and it'll show up magically on your doorstep.
How many times have you gone to the grocery store and just couldn't find a good steak?
A lot.
And we have never had a bad steak from this.
No,
Never, ever,
it's
ever.
so true. And then something else that we don't talk about often enough is if you do have to, God forbid, use your firearm in a self-defense encounter, the first thing you're going to need when the police show up is an attorney. So attorneys on retainer, we are a client. It says, do not trust an insurance company with your self-defense. Go to attorneys on retainer, but please go to our website, gunfreedomradio.com. On the homepage, scroll down, and when you click through that link on our homepage, again, they support the work that we do as we are supporting the work that they do. All right, we got to get on out of here, Dan. Until next time.
I'm going to pray for this nation.
We're going to pray for our leaders, people in leadership positions, and for our representatives. But what about the ones that aren't really representing us, like the ones in
I'm
Massachusetts,
going to
Dan?
skip that one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pray because, it's almost time to vote.
Mhm.
And I'm just going to pray that people have the wisdom and are guided in the right way to vote
Mhm.
so that we can get rid of the ones that are so-called, they're not leaders,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
want representatives. We want
we
representatives.
do want representatives, but we're going to pray for them anyway. Maybe they'll have a change of heart. Look how many have moved away from the Democratic Party over things like the anti-gun rhetoric and legislation, and they've moved to either be independent or to some other party
What did
because of gun rights.
What did Ronald Reagan say about that? I just heard this yesterday. He goes, I did not leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me.
Exactly.
And
That's
think
happened
about it,
over and over, many generations now,
Yeah.
right? Decades now. And so where this is not a partisan issue, it has kind of become one, and it's a sad thing. But I'm encouraged to see that people are taking it seriously, and there are people who are leaders, who are representatives, who are moving away from that and still trying to support their constituents, but not under this umbrella of, taking rights away.
Right.
All right, until next time, we are going to pray for
We already
each
did that.
other. I know. I just lost my
Well,
place.
we can pray for other stuff. You don't have to limit what you pray for.
That's true. We're going to be good to each other. Please have a great week and God bless.
Bye bye.